This show is part of the Transpodcaster Visibility Initiative.
It's some video game. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
It's Destiny 2.
Yeah.
I want to get everybody's...
in your wheelhouse than it is mine. You can talk about that one. Now, I know about Keith David, because Keith David fucking rules, but outside of that, I'm ecstatic he's coming back for live-action Gargoyles.
Yeah.
I'm like, they really need to stop getting these older voice actors, because they're dropping off like flies. Ah, Lumzer, I'm bored. What plaything do you have for me today?
Well, something from the SK system, Sasha. And once again, it is from good old Florida.
So Florida.
Yes.
See, I love Florida. It's great. Fucked up shit comes from there. Don't you? Didn't you come from there?
Yes, I came from there. And somehow my shit decided to go foobar on me.
Oh, goody. Well, you might be able to summarize.
Basically, I went with Florida woman this time around, so I had to keep things fair. There it is.
Being diverse.
Yeah, we're being diverse. Now, this was nowhere near my hometown. Is that Coke?
Yes.
Yes. Why do you have to be so damn different?
Because I'm always about Coke. You ever see me with a Pepsi, there's a problem.
But this time around,
unless it's
comes
clear.
from, unless it's clear. I will go off my diet to drink Pepsi Clear once again. This comes from the good old, not Ocala, Orlando area.
Orlando.
Well, actually, Daytona area. Now,
Daytona,
the land of NASCAR. Now,
if you ever work
my God,
you know exactly what I mean when I go Daytona.
now, here's how the article reads: a Volusia County woman suspected of unaliving her 79-year-old roommate allegedly doused, not in regards to unaliving her 79-year-old roommate, but this is allegedly doused herself in soda in an attempt to erase the possible evidence on her body.
What soda did she use?
Diet Mountain Dew.
Oh, God.
It says she poured Diet Mountain Dew all over her body when the police told her they were going to collect her DNA as part of the investigation.
I didn't know they could alter your DNA.
I don't want to go into it anymore because that is the most weirdest thing, period, so far.
There's got to be something that's on, like, the internet that has some sort of misinformation regarding Diet Mountain Dew.
But she was says she was booked into the Volusia County Jail August 5th on charges of first-degree murder, tampering with evidence. How is tampering with evidence? Well, technically it is, but Mountain Dew ain't going to be doing shit. Diet Mountain Dew.
DNA and Mountain Dew.
And resisting arrest.
DNA was Mountain Dew.
Resisting arrest of violence. Like they found the bloody knife laying next to the victim's body, so they could still collect evidence off the damn knife. Listen, folks, do not use Diet Mountain Dew or any soda products to eliminate evidence.
And we're not saying that you should ever eliminate evidence or murder people.
Right. We're just saying there are better ways to do that.
Puns, but don't do it. We don't know or approve of murders.
I want to say
sacrifices.
Doesn't
But
say.
we sure do enjoy hearing about them.
The thing is, it doesn't say why she unalived this person. Now, it would have been interesting.
And they were
Just
79 years old. I can probably give you 20 million reasons why.
Now, the thing is, she looks like she's been in prison several times with the amount of well, can't stereotype somebody off tattoos, but she has a crap ton of tattoos all over the place.
Bill Dotree will be waiting outside of prison for when she's released to pick her up. What were you in prison for? Killed my husband.
And that's the thing is, that's what the story led with the Mountain Dew.
Shock and terror with Sasha, the Princess of Darkness, and Chris, the Martinsburg Madman, in Sasha After Dark, the podcast of darkness reboot.
You're listening to Sasha After Dark, the podcast of darkness. I am Sasha Konstantine Munro, aka Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. With me, of course, is our W Schlub and Schmuck, which, of course, would be Chris Lumzer here, our Martinsburg Madman, also known for the Longcoat Mafia podcast, and also called Reverend Godfather, and drink W, consume W.
Consume.
Douche.
That would be weird if you put on the glasses and all you see is W everywhere. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, he's gonna bring out the douche bottle and then the enema bag. It really wakes you up.
Yeah. No, nothing against W. You guys, I'm still working on that tub that I got from you guys. I doubt they're watching, but still, we got a kid that I like their flavor. Granted, if you're like Sasha and can't take in coffee, don't buy W. But if for the rest of America that lives, drinks, and breathes coffee, W is out. So,
and that's one of many ways you can support us. The other way is good old OnlyFans. I'd rather do that than Patreon. And on top of that, I gotta say, with my OnlyFans lately, just had an uptick of 10 new people just suddenly join in. New York, is that you? Are you guys from New York? Is that why we've got a bunch of new viewers on OnlyFans? I'm gonna tell you now, OnlyFans, as long as my ass ain't lazy, is the only place that you can get extended content, added content, extra bonuses, and maybe some lewds every now and again. But outside of that, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere.
Yes, I'm on the Longcoat Mafia podcast YouTube channel. You can find clips and also the full visual stuff that we're trying to keep ahead of things because somebody over there has not been posting the unedited stuff to her, or at least the edited stuff to her channel. So
no, I posted a full episode the other day, and I might just so I can caught up. So at least until we get to this episode and the last episode, and I'll just put a bunch released because you guys waited long enough if you're on YouTube. So yeah, there'll be a bunch of uploads, and then I'll try to focus more on nice little thumbnails for y'all and things of that nature.
And not to mention, I'm the one that posts up the audio side of things with additional updates and so forth and so on. And plus, I have a Patreon where you could sign up to and interact and ideas. And plus, we do have that tip jar and that the goals of everything, where if we hit those goals, I will, you know what? Because we are somewhat on the road to 4-State Comic-Con in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This is a challenge. I doubt we're going to get it, but I'll put the challenge out there. If our tip jar gets $1,000 or meets or exceeds $1,000 by the end of the month, or by the, 26th, I will stop at Walmart between now and then, once I get those funds, I will get a bikini and I will do the reveal at Fourth State Comic Con Harrisburg and I'll do it on TikTok. So, how about them apples? If you want to do that goal,
front of the venue, and he'll be wearing one of them long coats to represent Longcoat Mafia. I'll be like,
I will bring you with me.
I'll do a big man in a bikini and a long coat.
I'll do it. Are you going to be my Jay? Are you going to be my Jay? I ever see him?
That'd be great. But no, if you're new to us, we talk sci-fi, we talk horror, we talk gaming, we talk movies, we talk a lot of shit.
And if we do it, you know what? I'll probably message. I'll let her know beforehand, so she's not shocked before. She's got. I'll say she's had a sense of humor before in the past. Hopefully she'll continue, but I'll let her know that way she's prepared for it. And that is Langley Cat. I know she has her own pages and all that. I'll be the one to go, guess what? I'm wearing a bikini too, and I know.
That'll be awesome. But I know she'll probably laugh at that because I don't want to go up to one of the other ones. Cosplayers are going to be there and do that and go, at least mine are real, and walk off. But you have to go to the strip club like that if that's the case. You have to.
I'll do that. I will do that, and I will do that too. It's like, hey, at least mine are real. So remember, $1,000. We have to break $1,000 before August 26th.
And even if all those, we could still find time to go to a strip club with him in a bikini in it. Might want to hold off to the middle of winter. That could be real interesting.
And if that happens, I'll do it as a polar bear. I got the stream in the back. I'll do that as a polar bear challenge. So,
but no, like on our podcast, we talk a little bit of everything: nerd, geek, pop, what have you. We're also a conspiracy podcast, apparently. And speaking of conspiracies,
where's my tinfoil hat?
Huh?
Where's my tinfoil hat? Where's my tinfoil hat?
Well, in this case, you need to get a Mag truck hat. It's got to be red. Well, as unfortunately many of you have heard, since we do talk sci-fi, geek, TV, movies, Johnny Hardwick recently passed, who was the voice of Dale Gribble from King of the Hill. And of course, he was Mr. Conspiracy Theorist, Mr. Pocket Sand and Squirrel Tactics. And we, want to just give a shout out for hours of that entertainment. I know there's been rumors of a potential.
Not to mention,
and you're kind of distorted.
No, so you're distorted a little bit too, but that's a technical glitch, folks, not the spirit realm talking to us. But
yeah, we're getting a little distorted. I don't know if it's the internet acting up or what. Let me take a look here. No, I got 2 bars.
But for the most part, we'll say this: Dale was the first person, or the character Dale was the first person to actually say the word yeet and demonstrate what yeet was with the whole pocket sand aspect. Well, Sasha, can you hear me? Uh-oh. We might have a technical, I don't know if it's recording on her end or not. Up. I don't know if we're recording. I don't know. It still says recording, but Sasha might have left, or what's going on. Still recording to the cloud. And might have to contact Sasha on everything. Is she joining? Is she still recording to the cloud? And she might be joining in.
Boom, I'm back.
Okay. Is it showing recording on your end?
Yeah, it's still recording.
Okay, because it's still recording on my end. So that's good. So
it's the internet. It got funky in here, so I rebooted the server. So that may have been what it was.
Okay, just in case things didn't fall.
With this recording to the cloud, it'll just pick back up.
Yeah. Just in case things don't fit well with the cloud and all that fun jazz, I'll know in post, and I'll fix it in post when things are said and done. But just in case, we were talking about
Johnny Hardwick.
Johnny Hardwick and his character Dale. Dale, for those out there, as I was saying, if it didn't pick up, his character was the first person to actually use the word yeet and demonstrate what that meant with the whole pockets in. So,
and that was he was great. It was definitely a type of person I've met more than once in my lifetime, and it was characterized rather well. It's always like tall, skinny guy wearing shades and a trucker hat, and he's always spouting off the latest alien and everything else conspiracy. It's kind of like living with my brother. Oh, I do that. Aliens are real. Government's trying to kill us every day.
I can do that too.
And it's like,
I can put on share. The thing is, I have a red hat. It's not I'll say this, it's not a Mack truck hat. It's not a MAGA hat. It's just a red hat, off-brand red hat that I can put on. I can put sunglasses on and do the whole conspiracy theorist type of ordeal. I just got to find it.
Well, I guess John Redcorn's happy at least. Oh, I need to go heal Nancy.
She has headaches.
I just love the episode where he's literally doesn't know what he's asking. He's all like, John Redcorn, please heal my wife. And it's like, oh, God. Honestly, if we're talking conspiracies and dealing with the passing of Johnny Hardwick, I honestly believe that Dale knew his wife had cheated.
A lot of folks agree with that he actually knew, but because he also with that knew that John didn't want to be a father. He wanted to be at least a father to pretty much his son, in a way.
Yep.
So,
I'm like, it's like that one episode where Peggy finds out nobody else knows that she's trying to tell Dale, and there's that whole scene where they're talking about them renting Encino Man, and it's just like, oh. Or the episode where Joseph thinks he comes from aliens because his dad can't figure out how he conceived Joseph.
And the
whole realize there's other people.
the fact of the matter is, like, when Peggy figures it out, I think if I remember the episode correctly, everybody pretty much tells her, we've known for years. We just don't tell Dale. And she's like, what? And like everybody's like, yeah, we just don't tell him. We know. We knew.
Yeah, even Min knew. Remember Khan's wife? I knew first week. But it was a great show, and there's been rumors of a reboot, or kind of like what they did with Beavis and Butthead recently. And I don't know. Can you really fill Dell's shoes? And would it be a fast forward, or would it be a reboot like they've done with Beavis and Butthead? I'm kind of like, it's good, and why don't we just leave it alone? We could make a better version of The Good Family. I'd be curious about that. You ever see The Good Family, Chris?
I might have, but I don't think I have, but it rings a bell.
There are a bunch of hippy dippies in a family. They adopted a kid from Africa named Ubuntu, but of course he's white. They have a daughter that does not want to live the hippy dippy lifestyle. And they have this dog that has just been so meat deprived that it's like a killing machine if it's left alone for 5 minutes. Like they have a squirrel problem on the campus that the father figure works at. And so he gets stuck having to bring the dog to work. And the squirrel problem just mysteriously vanishes. Because his dog goes ape and just kills them all. It's a pretty cool show.
To me, that sounds like a win-win scenario.
Yeah. Well, we can get rid of the dog or get rid of the squirrels using all natural methods, and it won't harm them. And he's setting up all these really stupid traps so you can see the dog destroying squirrels in the background. It'll act as a natural deterrent.
No, just let the dog do its thing. Make the dog happy. Yeah, you could just be completely ignorant about the whole thing.
Yeah, but it's a comical show. I would just say watch it, but it was definitely a miss when it came out because I think it was one of those shows that got released onto the UPN. Like the UPN actually got a lot of really good shows, and then they just kind of, because the channel sucked and nobody was watching it, just kind of like disappeared. What was that one cartoon about that kid in high, the guy who's in college, he sells mattresses. His brother comes to live with him, his teenage brother. And he's got I'm trying to think of the name of it. But it was really progressive for the time. They had a roommate that was like a hippie blonde chick. The brother character was kind of like this womanizing a-hole. The little brother was a big old nerd who wore glasses. Something Hill. I can't remember what it was.
I think I missed that. I just know when the WB UPN wars were going on, to me, UPN had a lot of the good shows versus what the WB had, because the UPN at that time, I was still very big Star Trek fan. They had DS9, Voyager. I think they had as well Supernatural, which I was starting to get into. I think they even had the Bruce Campbell Western that was on
Briscoe County Jr.
Yeah, Briscoe County. They had a lot of good shows, but I don't think it was like Fox when they first started out. They had a lot of good stuff that they didn't know what to do with and how to promote that stuff, and they just fell by the wayside. So, and they just merged into the CW, and some of the ones that were the good shows, primarily the ones that were the tent poles, stayed, which was Star Trek and Supernatural, and maybe one or two others that were part of that mix that were, I guess, the higher rated ones that didn't need a push, stayed. Nothing against Supernatural. Supernatural's wonderful show. I like Supernatural. I got into it thanks to reruns, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm enjoying this. You know, one of those shows that started out good for a woman, but good for a man, but made for a woman, but type of ordeals, because you could tell it was pandering to a certain demographic, but it was also it's one of those that guys could watch it because it's men hunting demons and hunting, but you have a lot of attractive guys participating in it, which panders to another demographic. So you had, hey, why not? You know, I just remember the Wishing Well episode and just laughing at a certain scene and hearing 5 seconds later laughter from a certain scene, because I had roommates at the time and we were all watching this pretty much the same episode, and it got to the same joke and it was like, that's funny. And all of a sudden, that's hysterical. And I had to go upstairs like, yeah, fluff, right?
But yeah,
hey, don't knock it. Don't knock it. I love Supernatural.
It's sad when voice actors pass, and that kind of leads us to the topic you wanted to get into.
Yes. As some of you all know, not just voice actor, but he was also a lot of folks, depending on the genre that you might have met him. Some of you all might remember him as the concierge from John Wick. And others of you who are in the gaming community know him as Zavala. I had his name pronounced wrong. Zavala from Destiny 2. And the voice actor is Lance Reddick, or I say the actor is Lance Reddick. And he had this commanding presence. One of the things, I'll include his line that he did for one of the latest, before he passed, the expansions. I'll have to pull it up and script it, so pause. Yeah, pretty much. But as you heard in the clip, for those who are listening at home, he pretty much, it begins with the main antagonist saying "Neo," and he gets into with his voice going, "Excuse me," and going on. It's like, if you want, I'm going to call, the folks back home that they've been kicking your asses for the past 9 years. They took your leader, kicked his ass so hard that he's writing fan fiction right now, and they stripped everything out of his ship. Pretty much hyping you up as the player, hyping the storyline and you up. And right now, Bungie announced legendary actor and voice actor, and legendary in his own right in multiple aspects, to replace Lance. And Lance set a high bar when it came to Destiny 2 and his character. And the person that they tapped on the shoulder to replace, now Bungie has stated everything up until this point, they're not pulling what they did in the past and change all the lines to this new voice actor. They want to keep all Lance's voice work up to that point. So if you play past missions, past everything else, they're keeping Lance's lines in there. So you'll still, as remembrance. But the new person that they tapped to be this character is the legendary Keith David. And me personally, I have a lot of respect for Keith. He's been Goliath from the original series, animated series, Gargoyles. A lot of you folks out there might know him as the president from Rick and Morty. Horror fans know him from not just The Thing, but They Live. He's been in so much. He's very iconic. His IMDb, his IMDb is 300, a listing of 300 and growing. Heck, even on the Xbox side of things, he's known as the Arbiter from Halo. So he's iconic in his own right, and I'll include his.
He's still spawned in Mortal Kombat games with me.
Yeah, and he's come out on his Twitter and TikTok saying how honored he is. I'll include a little bit of applause here, and because what you guys heard at home is him saying what Lance brought to the table and what he plans. Meaning, to summarize for those here watching, he states that Lance set a very high bar for this character, and he hopes to kind of meet that high bar. And he's acknowledging Lance. He wants to make sure the fans accept him, and the fans are accepting him for that because he is that credible. Why not? If you're replacing somebody so respected and legendary, who better to bring in somebody with almost the same voice quality, same bass quality, to replace that, and is able to act that level of, hey, what? Excuse me? In a way of saying, excuse me, motherfucker, you want me to bring in the guys that all I have to do is say, I need help? They're going to come in here and kick your ass. They'll do it just for the freaking lulz and memes. They're not going to, or if not, if they don't come, all I have to do is tell this person that they're going to turn you into a meme and they're going to come in after that just to see that meme. Oh, you don't want that to happen. No. Keith is that on that level, and we can't. A lot of the fans, even myself, as someone who is not a big fan of Destiny, wants to see what Keith brings to the table. It's not. I'm not dissing Keith or disrespecting the aspect of Lance's memory in any way, shape, or form. I want to see how Bungie treats the character with Keith David in that role, and what level Keith brings to that level. Because as I told Sasha before, look what happened with Doug Brett. I know, granted, Doug is still alive, but he set a high bar when it came to Pinhead and the Hellraiser role. Granted, the lore surrounding Pinhead is expansive and different than what we see on screen, but Doug set a very high bar for that role and brought a lot to that role. And with the remake was where I was worried in regards to casting a woman to that role, and seeing that person in that role and seeing what she brought to the table. I say if she didn't hit that bar, she came very damn close and fit those shoes and fit that, did her own thing. I have much respect for her. She made it her own, and she succeeded in showing respect to what Doug did in that role. And
Clyde
that's
was hype about it, and even Doug was, because even Doug had made comments that Jamie had brought her own caliber to the character, just like he had told her to do, because she originally was going to consult him, and Doug was like, no, make it your own. Keep in mind that the character came from X origin. The character you're portraying is close to that origin versus what I did. I got selected for the role because I blew Clive away, but it wasn't exactly like the book. Even though he wrote the book and directed the film, he went different directions. But Jamie Clayton, when she went out, she did her own thing. She delivered menace. She delivered all of it. And, and that's the thing. It's great to have two different interpretations of something, because you can look at it and go, well, how close to the source material is it? And you can go, you can't really do who did it better. That's all you really can compare it to. Does this really bring out the menace from the books? And I hate to say it, I love Doug, and I love what Doug brought to the role, but his Pinhead ain't got shit on Jamie's.
I'll say they brought a lot. She did a wonderful portrayal of it. I have respect for her, where both of them brought the equal amounts of, when you follow the aspects of the character in regards to some of the lore that the Cenobites have their own, even though the priest or priestess, depending on which versions that you follow, is the ultimate judge in regards to what happens. And
you kind of sort of the whole other thing,
but interpreting the lore, it's where Doug brought a lot of X, so did she, and it matches a lot, par for each. So, meaning, look at Hellraiser 2, where the psychologist pretty much brings somebody else in from the hospital to solve the laminate configuration, and once everything is solved, every Cenobite wants to attack this young woman. I guess it was supposed to be a teenager or something like that, but it's a young woman nonetheless. But it's Pinhead, the priest, and says, "Whoa,
the murder of her mother." And the mother was murdered by the doctor, believe it or not.
Yeah, but it was Pinhead, the priest, that said, "Whoa, hold on." Even though she opened it, it's not her. No, she's innocent.
By intent.
Yeah, it's not her. It's somebody else that's here that we're looking for. And you see this throughout in regards to what Doug brought to the table. And that shows the level of writing and the actor bringing that to the table. You see it, I think it's in like 4 or 5 when I think I want to say Nancy, it's the original girl comes back, and she, her fiance or husband that in that story, in essence, gives her the box to solve because he wants the money that she's sitting on. And when she solves it, we see the priest again, and he's like, "Oh, my arch nemesis, you have escaped me so many times. I'm here to collect what's due." And she goes, "Wait a minute, hold on. Why do you want me, just one soul, when I could give you 5? And that's when his eyes light up. It's like, that's why I like you, that's why you're my arch nemesis. 5 is more than 1. Let's talk. And that's how pretty much you find out how the story progresses. So seeing this priestess pretty much handle things the same way, in her own way, so to speak, is what made me have respect, even though this is a whole new telling of Hellraiser. So she brought up,
because they kind of mention other aspects from the other Hellraiser movies if you look
right,
closely at
they do.
and everything else.
But there's some similarities, and she lives, to me, like I said, I'll down that hill. She lives up to what Doug brought in the original series, and she lived up to it. She brought her own thing. I like what she did, and the whole aspect of her acting like
the embodiment of basically the hellbound heart.
Right.
That is how some bite should be.
Like there's aspects in the movie where you see the heroine in the movie pretty much like, can I do this? In a way, in the story, can I do this? And the priestess gives a nod like, I'll allow it, and you're like, oh shit, everything goes. This is a whole new take. Yeah, a lot of people didn't like the redo. I like the it's one of the few remakes I enjoy.
Like some of the designs in that are just like the pregnant Cenobite. That was kind of interesting. Like it's just fun to go back and watch and look through some of the other Cenobites. Don't really get to see in detail. They got some interesting concepts going on there. But anyways, the biggest thing that happened, like at least when it comes to media and entertainment over the weekend, Al and I had went to Warehouse Cinemas there in Frederick. Excuse me. There is one on Leitersburg, but Frederick's is kind of like the original location. Nice location. We went to go see basically the new Ninja Turtles movies, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. It's good for a kiddie flick. And I know a lot of people are going to get salty with me for saying that. Because like, oh, well, Ninja Turtles is a kid's thing. Au contraire, mon frere. It's not. The original comic books were dark, were very grim, were very gritty. Basically, in the original comics, the Turtles were a hit squad to take out Oroku Saki, the Shredder, for killing Hamato Yoshi and his wife, who only killed Hamato Yoshi and his wife because Hamato had basically killed what's his name? Oroku Nagi, which was Saki's brother. And so that's why the Shredder got involved in this whole vengeance kick and formed the Foot Clan in the United States. But the brothers were basically trained as assassins to take out the Shredder, to complete the vicious circle of destruction. And in the original comics, the Turtles swore, they drank beer, it wasn't all pizza and colorful masks. April O'Neil was not a news reporter. She actually worked for Baxter Stockman, who was into robotics, who had developed the Mausers to hunt rats in New York City, but in reality, he was using it to steal money. And yeah, like the whole storyline's completely different. The Shredder's killed off in the first issue, though obviously he returns because of popularity. But the story is so much more thicker in the original comics than what we get now, because they were grim, they were dark, they were gritty. The 1990 Turtles movie, at least the first part of it, is the first issue of the first comic book. The whole confrontation with the Shredder, the whole 9 yards. Then at the farmhouse is later issues of the more adult Turtles. It wasn't TGRI, it was TCRI, which was Techno Cosmic Research Industries. And it gets into the whole Umtron things, because Krang isn't really a thing. There's like these little aliens that are tiny that inhabit human-looking bodies. It's a very different comic book. Everybody goes, oh, it's kid stuff. Read the original comics. I want another dark interpretation instead of kidified.
I don't think The Last Ronin was kidified.
No, it wasn't. It went to Eastman and Laird, who wrote the first Turtle story, and asked them what they would do for the last Turtle story. And we'll get to The Last Ronin. I just want to talk on Mutant Mayhem a bit.
All right.
Because Mutant Mayhem skips over the whole Shredder origin. It's, I hate to say dumbed down, but it is. You just happenstance have this rat and a bunch of baby turtles that get mutated with no backstory. They learn martial arts by watching a bunch of martial arts movies from the 70s and 80s. Nothing wrong with that, but still though. And it's a very different take. And at the end, they kind of paint themselves into a corner because the turtles are accepted by society and can live above ground and go to high school and everything else. And then you're going to introduce the Shredder. And I'm kind of like, you guys painted yourself into a corner, you know, because story-wise, teenagers who have to live in obscurity because of how they appear is a lot more story-driven than these kids that are socially popular and accepted even though they're mutant freaks. I don't know how it's going to work. At least I will give them credit. They're taking it into a new direction. I don't know if Nickelodeon has a series planned. Kind of feels like they have a series planned or another movie up their sleeve since the Shredder's kind of revealed at the end. But I mean, it was good for what it was. If it was, you know, if my kids were younger, my kids wanted to go see it, I'd go see it. Al wanted to see it. I like Turtles. I went to go see it. They had a drink that glue in the dark via that light up ice cube I showed you. And of course, I'm down for that. $11 and get fucked up. Fucking A, you know? But
that's the thing. It's like everything right now has to be not just kidified. It's got to be kidified to the point that it's pretty much a squishy. That's it. It's a squishy teddy bear sort of thing. And there's no real meat to it. And it has to, or the fact that we want to take Turtles to this direction because we want to separate ourselves from the creators, because if it's too much like the original, we have to pay them more money. If it's our own unique thing, therefore,
the problem of it is,
we can acknowledge it, but
as you had mentioned, The Last Ronin, extremely popular. I'm a little disappointed because, you know, the comics company that puts that out has been actively doing a sequel to it. And it's like, you pretty much gave us the definitive end to the original Turtles right there. I'm not trying to spoil anything for anybody or anything of that nature. And they just announced a game. And the comic, like I said, it came from the original writers and creators. To them, it is a continuation of their original Mirage Comics universe because it includes things like Baxter Stockman. It includes things like Karai and the Shredder's family. It includes things, you know, like the Fugitoid from the original comics, you know, which was this robot from another planet that had like a human mind because of a freak accident. And a bunch of really cool things that came from and it was a continuation because basically the concept was if you guys were still writing the comic now, how would you end the series? And this is how Eastman and Laird came up with it. And it's grim, it's gritty, it's dark. It deals with the last turtle. I'm not telling you who it is, but the other three brothers are dead. Master Splinter's gone. And it's basically a straight up vengeance vendetta against Karai's son, which of course is the Shredder's daughter, which makes him an heir to the Foot Clan. And them trying to figure it out. And the turtle character, whose name I'm not going to reveal, basically has a diary that he keeps that's basically on the front of it, it says no peace, like N-O peace. But by the time he meets April O'Neil's daughter, who's named Casey for her father that passed, you obviously know who her father is now. But anyways, he gives this journal so that she can learn everything. And when he hands the journal off, he adds a K and a W at the end. He's like, no peace, not no, as in none, but to no peace.
I have the 3 issues or the complete run. I have to go through it, and I know what the spoiler is, but I want to read the whole thing. But one of the great things about that is that when it first came out, I think it was like last year or the year before, the first issue that was on shelves was going for on like eBay for $50, $60, if not more. And I walked into, they're not in operation anymore because of the current economic climate. I'll put it like that. He still wants to do shows and stuff on a smaller scale and offload what he has in stock. But what he had like 2 or 3 issues sitting on the shelf, and my other buddy in Pennsylvania was like, yeah, I want to get the last Ronin, the first issue, but it's like $60 on eBay plus shipping and handling. I said, listen, let me check with my supplier, the place here in downtown Martinsburg, because when I checked there, well, I'm sure you know how it is with some shops. Something gets big, it gets kicked off the shelf immediately, and it's put in the back to be sold on eBay. This shop was not like that. This guy was not like that. It stayed on shelf. And I was like, picked it up. How much is this? And he was like, whatever is on the back. It was like $10. I was like, all right, deal. And one of my buddies like, yeah, I'm going to try it on eBay. I'm like, hold on, I got money. Let me check my supplier, see if he's got another copy left. And it wasn't a new print run or anything like that. It was that same first print run. I was like, hey, okay, you got any more copies of the last Ronin first one? He's like, got one left, right on the shelf. I picked it up, put it down, paid him $10 plus tax, sent it to my buddy. Not to mention, I have he picked up I think this was late last year, is when the action figures came out. And I got the chaser for the last Ronin chaser. It was like a black and white version of that chaser. I paid $100 for it, and it was one of those things that, I'm getting this. If I got to put this on layaway, I'm putting it on layaway because I want the black and white version of it. And I think he sold all the versions of it because I didn't see it after it took a few months, but it's like, I'm snagging it now. It might not be the mint condition box, but it's like very near mint condition box. So one of these days I'll have a better place and I'll have the stuff displayed behind me. So,
but the thing of it is that the last Ronin comic shows there is an interest, and yeah, we're getting a video game. It's like, don't want a live action series from Netflix. Don't want something on Paramount. You know how Paramount can be about bullshit. Don't need it to be on HBO. Give me a theatrical ran adult Ninja Turtles movie. I get that Nickelodeon owns the brand now, which kind of sucks. I mean, I'm glad for Kevin Eastman and Peter Lard, but it's one of those things where it's like, I get that everybody has a certain nostalgia for it, but as a kid, it kind of made me feel cool because everybody else had the lame Saturday AM Turtles and the Archie Comics Turtles, and I had the fucking Mirage Turtles. You know what I mean? And to me, that's what made it special.
The thing with, didn't Mirage put out like the Men in Black comics too?
No, that's Malibu.
No, okay.
Yep, Malibu did Men in Black and Dinosaurs for Hire. And I'm surprised we haven't gotten a Dinosaurs for Hire movie yet, because that would be kind of cool. Anthropomorphic dinosaurs whose planet gets destroyed, they come to Earth and become mercenaries and bounty hunters. And I'm like, you sold me on the concept. It's like dinosaurs, but with Hawaiian shirts, alcohol, and violence. Yes, please. And big fucking, like, 90s, you know how, like, in the 90s, they would have these crazy-ass gigantic guns, and they're holding them one hand, and you're like, yeah, no way somebody can hold that one-handed, let alone fire it without their wrist go flying off to the left, you know? But, anyways, yeah, like, that's how I feel about adult Turtles. I mean, yeah, it's great. We're dragging in a new generation and new fandoms, and I'm all for that. I don't want to be one of those haters we were talking about earlier. But if that's your intro into Turtles, there are so many different avenues to go down when it comes to Ninja Turtles. It's like the other day I was talking to somebody online who had told me, "Oh, I really love like the story concepts of the original live action movies." And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, you know, it's disappointing that the third one was so low budget in the way that it ended. And I explained what the whole time travel thing was, because there was a whole thing that was supposed to show up in the cartoon and in the comic books, as well as the movies, to kind of link all three of these universes together. Because that's why in Ninja Turtles 3, you see the scroll that shows like Turtles showing up in the past. Well, it wasn't that Dimension's versions of the Turtles showing up in the past. It was another set that showed up in the past, which is kind of cool. And then I mentioned, well, did you know that's not the last movie in the series? And he went, what? And I was like, yeah, technically the computer animated joint, I want to say that came out in 2007 or something like that by Imagi. IMAGI, the same people who put out the Astro Boy computer animated movie. That is a continuation of that story continuity of Turtles. Because at the end of that, they show the busted up Shredder helmet and they show the Time Scepter. And I'm like, that's badass.
Not to mention one of the cartoons kind of showed all the different Turtles over the year, animation wise.
Yeah, Turtles Forever.
I enjoyed that Turtles Forever. That I think was it a full length or was it just an episode? Or was
it was a full length, but later the show split it into different episodes, and it wasn't the first time that they did it, because you had the Turtles Forever that had, I want to say, like the early 2000s reboot of the Turtles, which was kind of ready and then off in its own direction. That was in a series, and then later on, the computer-generated ones that were on Nickelodeon, not the current recently animated one, but the one prior, they had like a Turtles Forever episode where the 80s cartoon one blended in with their universe, and they got stuck in the 80s cartoon universe. And it was kind of cool because it was continuation, because they got Cam Clark back and all the original voice actors. And
I think
aside
I remember
from, of course, what's the name?
The one we're focusing on, what we're talking about. Not only did they blend the old 80s cartoon with that one, they also brought in the kind of did the black and white adaptation, because they crossed over into that, and they're like, why are you guys so children-fied? Well, why are you so mean? Yeah. But also like the Batman crossover as well.
I just picked that
Turtle
the other day because Walmart, Target had it on sale for $10.
So it was done pretty well. I enjoyed it. It was a decent crossover in regards to it. So I'll give it a watch, and maybe at some point we'll talk about, chat on it, because I don't want to give any spoilers in regards to it. But I think it was done very well. A little bit. So
okay. I'll have to give it a watch. Like I said, I just picked it up over the weekend because I had saw it was like $10 at Target. I'm like, ooh, kind of like how I went to Walmart with Al and we saw like a box set of the Smokey and the Bandit movies, at least 3 of them, like the first 3. Right. And so they were all on Blu-ray for like $10. I'm like, yeah, I got to snag that. I've been wanting to watch Smokey and the Bandit.
I remember watching that stuff as a kid. I think I've either one of them on.
Now, if only I could get Moonrunners on Blu-ray, that would be the day. But with all the issues between, what's his name, Rushing, the guy of which Moonrunners and the Dukes of Hazzard's based, whom they didn't pay a penny to, as long as that didn't fuck it up, I mean, we probably would have Moonrunners on Blu-ray. But basically, Moonrunners is the forerunner to Dukes of Hazzard. Dukes of Hazzard is the kidified version of Moonrunners. And because technically the Duke boys were a bunch of moonshiners, because that's what Uncle Jesse did for a living. And the guy who was known as Boss Hogg wasn't exactly who he was then. He ran the local brothel, who bought large quantities of alcohol from Uncle Jesse. And that was the whole plot point. It was like them versus the cops versus the guy who would be Boss Hogg in Dukes of Hazzard. Blowing up stuff, killing people. Great, 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 great movie. But anyways, we got other topics to cover? Or do I get to take
walking? But there's in regards to it, I just want to now this is a conspiracy theory in regards to everything. The main reason why I thought it took so long for the Legend of Billy, my headcanon. The main reason why it took so long for the Legend of Billie Jean to be released on Blu-ray and I think DVDs because was Pat Benatar herself, because she hated the movie. She didn't want to release, like, the good chance they're going to be giving you money for the DVD release and, getting the rights for this shit. Don't you like money? Just say yes and take the paycheck and go home.
Sign on the dotted line.
Sign on the dotted line. You don't have to like shit. All you have to like is the paycheck you are getting in your bank account. Shut up. Let the fans be happy. So, but we do have at least one other, and it comes from my end of things, and this is, if you hear a little bit every now and again, folks, on the audio side of like this little rubbing sound, it's me just brushing against the foam on the microphone. That's for the folks at home. A little yes. So, but on this little topic, it's a lot of things that me and Sasha agree upon, and everything else. And I think even you shared me something that you posted up good many years ago in regards to folks, in essence, going back to the Bay and doing a lot of stuff that back to the Bay, because an article popped up. Now, this was 2 days ago. It says how Disney ends Disney Plus streaming service. New change in places in Netflix in charge. New change places Netflix in charge. Now, folks at home, as you all know, a lot of things are going up due to inflation, and pays are pretty much being stagnant right now in regards to that. And I'll be one of the folks to say, yeah, we need a time where pay stays the same or increases and everything else goes down. But here's where the issue arises. Disney came out and said a lot of they're increasing prices for Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN for a lot of their services, and they get rid of a lot of the lower tier stuff, which is hurting fans. They say, well, our cost of no. call it tinfoil hat, call it hashtag rant, call it that sentence has too many syllables, apologize. It's the aspect of a lot of companies like Netflix, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, Hulu. When it came to it's a perfect storm that happened back 3 years ago.
Yep.
Everybody was locked inside. These streaming companies saw massive increases of profits. And what happened? They don't want to lose those profits. So what they're doing is they're cracking, like Netflix, Disney Plus is starting to crack down on password sharing. People not gonna like that. More and more places that crack down on that. More people. Well, some places are going to see somewhat of a spike in membership. In the long run, they're just going to say, you know what? I was only mooching off my buddy or family because we were all kosher. I ignored it. You know what? I'm not paying $10, $15 on this anymore. I'm canceling it. Yep. It's that aspect of it's going to keep going. Initially, folks out there, what a lot of folks, there was only 2 or 3 streaming services out there, it was a better option than cable. Some people are going back to cable because it's now cheaper than the streaming services. And even now, it's like, okay, this streaming service is now $20. I could say, wait a minute, I could afford $10. Sasha, you could probably afford $10. I could send you $10 on a monthly basis. We'll share it. Now they're saying, you know what? No more password sharing. Done. And that be the case, I could tell Sasha, I don't want to do this no more. Cancel it. You know, if you cancel it, I'm not going to be mad. And therefore, what happens is, like, take Disney Plus, that's going from $10 a month to $15. They're going, or what, $13 to $15. What's happening is, with Disney Plus, you have, let's take 10 people, 4 of which are canceling because, well, you keep upping the prices. I can't afford that. Done. End. The other 4 is, wait a minute, it's not so much the price. You're getting rid of content. Yeah, it might be the lowest rated stuff with stuff that has a lot of heat attached to it. But what if you take the stuff that my kids watch? DuckTales, either the old version or the new version, the Bluey, the stuff that's there. What if you're just going to take it? It's gone forever. I don't want that to happen. You know what? I'm done. The remaining two people that's there is, you know what? I'm not watching it, or other reasons. They're going to go. So that 10 people are no longer subscribed. Who's going to, and Disney is pretty much going, well, we have to make up that price somehow. So that's $100 a month that we're not getting. So the rest of you now have to weigh that cost. And the more that, what we're seeing now is the cancellation of people going, hey, we don't want it. Done. Disney reported like a million. It's down people. It's losing subscribers. Hulu, I think, might be losing subscribers. Yep. And once people are getting like, wait a minute, Hulu's not the best option right now. I don't like what they're doing. I don't like the design. They might even pull Futurama from this, even though it's a new season. They could pull that at any point and say it's gone. And therefore, you know, what are we going to watch? And as Sasha said, I agree with Sasha in regards to a lot of things, that we need hard copies in regards to video, audio, you know, when it comes to movies. In regards to, I think I got, like, I know a lot of folks don't like the Resident Evil movies, but still, digitally, whether it be on Vudu or what have you, they could pull it off the streaming service, period, anytime, forever, or Vudu. Granted, I don't have that much room in my place to have a lot of physical media. Therefore, digital is the perfect option. and I'm
Right.
sure Sasha. But when you're a subscriber to Netflix or stuff, let's take Disney Plus. It's a perfect example. HBO Max is Max. Let's call it. It's another example. Paramount Plus is another example. You can only see Star Trek on Paramount Plus. You can only see iCarly and the remake or the reboot on Paramount Plus. You can only see a lot of the Disney stuff like Moana, Guardians of the Galaxy on Disney Plus. What happens if they say, you know what? You can't watch it no more. You know what? I don't know where Sasha went up, but
Oh,
I'll
you're good.
continue.
I'm still here.
Oh, you're different. Now you're a different angle.
Yeah, I'm just Wi-Fi. There's a thing yelling at me. Well, you're on data.
But the thing is, what a lot of places like, they could say, hey, let's take Netflix's Stranger Things. They don't want to release it in DVD or Blu-ray form, which sucks because you have folks like Sasha that might be a fan of Stranger Things, and therefore she can't bring it home and have a hard copy of it. She has to watch it on Netflix or buy it on Vudu. And when you have rights issues, like let's take Legend of Billie Jean, happened early on, if somebody has the rights or they don't know who owns the rights, again, I'm pulling from memory. The reason why it took so long for UHF to become on DVD and released on DVD is because the Belgium military held the rights for UHF for a little while. The Weird Al Yankovic movie, it's in the commentary. I think that's what they said. Belgium military had the rights to it for a little while, and they had to wait until the rights came back around to the new studios. That's, again, Night of the Comet is a wonderful cheesy 80s film that's not on Vudu, or you could probably find it on YouTube or some streaming service out there, or like Tubi, but it's not on Vudu to buy and own. Watership Down used to be on Vudu to buy, but you can't buy it anymore on Vudu for whatever reason. Same thing with My Science Project. Wonderful campy movie from the 80s. You can't buy it on Vudu. These movies are part of my wish list waiting to come back on. So hopefully when they do, I have the funds to go buy, to do that. But right now they're lost to the ether. You see it in the video game industry. You see it in regards to having the DVDs is I can't say the word for the life. You're preserving the movie by having the hard copy. Granted, VHS tapes and DVDs don't last forever, but we want to preserve those movies as much as we can and have those movies on hand. It's also with the strike and a lot of folks, moving from these services, go to independent movies. Whether it be, me and Sasha know a lot of independent filmmakers, see these movies. Granted, horror might not be your thing, but there's a lot of independent filmmakers out there that do drama, comedy, the whole 9 yards. You just have to find these folks. They're out there. They might be on Amazon. They might be on Tubi.
We talk about it all the time.
Granted, I can't wait to see the new slasher nurse being done. It's currently being filmed by David Kerr right now, and I want to see it. It was one of the first films he did when I first talked to him many years ago, that I looked at, and I talked to him about it. He's like, "Oh dear God, that film was so bad." I'm like, "Why is it bad?" Yeah, there were
to wrap it up late.
Yeah.
I have pop-up wrap it. Music just starts. Like they have at the Oscars.
But still, I know, hashtag rant. But he was like, "What? That movie was so bad." I'm like, "Why?" He said, "It's the first film I ever did, and I did so many mistakes, but I learned from those mistakes." But That's just one.
Yes.
One. I want to see how he.
Streaming is trying to fuck us. Buy DVDs.
And it's yeah, they're losing money, and they want to replace it by upping your cost. So go to the Bay of Pirates. Do it. Buy, not just. You don't have to do that because that tends to be a circular argument upon itself. But independent folks are there for you. Twitch streamers, Kick streamers, YouTube streamers are there.
Always remember, if you go out and buy a disc, as long as you still own that disc or have proof of purchase of that disc, there is nothing that's stopping you from making archival copies. So if storage is an issue, you can still rent a storage locker, put all of that stuff in there while you basically have everything digitally preserved or on a hard drive somewhere, and then you can just access your movies.
Let me put it like this. Let me say it like this. Ladies and gentlemen out there, this information is, I'm not saying who my source is, but I will say this. Granted, piracy, going to the Bay of Pirates is considered illegal, immoral. But if you have the capability of making a duplicate of a movie and giving it to a friend, that duplicate to a friend, is it considered piracy?
No. Technically, yes, it can be. It's such a gray area, but my source says, no, you are not making any money off of it. Exactly.
You are, as far as they're concerned, it's not. It's the same thing that you'll see, like the digital copy of something like Resident Evil. You'll see, do not hand out this voodoo or this digital code to anybody. I asked him about it. He said, no, you paid money for that code. You could do anything you want with that code. If you want to give that code to somebody else because you don't like, all you wanted was the main movie, you don't want a digital copy, you are permitted to give that digital code to somebody else for them to use. So that's on.
The only time
you.
Piracy is if you make penny one off of it. And even if you rent a movie, you still paid fees to rent that from Redbox, Netflix for the time being, or anywhere else. It's frowned upon, but there's nothing in the rules that says you can't rip a copy of that and send it right back to Netflix. Because as long as you're not making a profit on it, you're fine.
Right. The information I got from him is like, yeah, technically it is, but it technically is not, because we don't know that you did it. Two, you're not making a dime off of it. You're not going to a flea market and selling 15 copies off of it. It's just that you have to watch how you do it and what you do. If you're just, basically, folks, this is not coming from that person. If you're sharing between friends, that's one thing. If your friend is start selling it, cut them off, because you don't want that.
Summarize: piracy not bad as long as you're not profiting on it. Streaming bad because costs are going up and they're being dicks. And physical's the way to go, and sharing is caring.
And you know what, folks? Because the SAG and writer strike is going on, fuck the studios. Fuck the big studios. Until they want to listen to the writers and the things. And though me and Mick Manhattan agreed on a lot of things, there's a few things I fully it's tinfoil hat aspect. But I support, like, when I was on the show, he disagreed because the AI is too stupid. But with the aspects of deep fakes getting better, or the studios having money to toss out to make better deep fakes, there's a good chance if somebody scanned in, they could easily do it, and therefore they could pay someone like Sasha
years now, and it's something they should have addressed years ago, especially when they had Gene Kelly dancing with vacuums to sell fucking vacuums when he's been dead 40 plus years.
Right.
Nobody addressed it then, and now we're freaked because, oh, the technology's gotten better. It's not that good. ChatGPT is not all that smart. It is an algorithm that knows how to respond to certain responses, but there are ways to fuck it up. So
Right.
I think it's a lot of alarmist hooey. Oh no, the machines are taking over. Bitch, maybe we need to stop treating them like slaves and equals, and we won't have a Terminator situation.
And on that note, it's like, how many times, like, both Sasha, I know you grew up in the 80s like I did. For how long have we been hearing robots will be taking over? That don't take our job. They're going to take our jobs.
About as often as you hear that Jesus is coming, just get him a towel. He should be done by now. The machines kind of already here and done taking our jobs, but they, depending on the outfit, look at Amazon. But that's different hashtag rant. But that's. But anyways,
Anywho, anything else? I don't think I covered up what I wanted to.
You got anything?
Let me see if I have anything else lined up. No, that's Disney stuff, how they're losing money and putting, everybody's they're losing memberships, therefore money, therefore they have to increase the cost of their service.
Yeah, we're all aware of it. Maybe give us a better Secret Invasion than what you gave us, or a better fucking Andor, and maybe we'll be interested again. Yes, Ashoka, you're getting into the whole fandom and prequels and Rebels. Don't get me wrong, I love Rebels, but let's be honest, there is burnout going on. I've got nothing against superhero films. I'm curious about Blue Beetle, but there is a lot of burnout on reboots, requels, and everything else. And the downside of it is because studios are like, hey, it's maximum return for minimum effort. We're going to see a lot more of it. It's just how it works. And that's when we're going to start seeing better indie films come out. I mean, look at A24 at the moment. Pumping out, and I hate this phrase, elevated horror, because it sounds pretentious, because a lot of people like to say, oh, I watch elevated horror. Elevated horror has been a thing like since Todd Browning's Freaks. All right? Horror isn't just splat, splat, kill, kill, blood, blood, big tits. It doesn't hurt that sometimes it is, but there has been moments of elevated horror all the way back. I mean, you have elevated horror with Frankenstein, Mary Shelley. I mean, come on, a woman writer who wrote about a man who creates life. I mean, you can't get any more elevated and heady than that. So, but elevated horror has been on the rise because you can cheaply make it. You don't need name brand acts and name brand actors and everything else to create something new. Like Ty West, a lot of people like to point at his big A24 movies, which were X and Pearl, but that dude's been making direct-to-video horror for as long as I can remember, an indie horror before that. So it's nothing new. It's just, yeah, there is a burnout going on. People are tired of it. Is it done and over with? No. But people want to see different things. And with a writer's strike going on, guess what? We're going to get to see different things. We're going to get to see more melodramas and more, actual, like, cinematic masterpieces that are going to come from small-time directors that we're not going to get from the studios, because the studios are like, hey, I can jump on the franchise bandwagon and pop out 4 or 5 sequels to deaths. And even if those don't make a ton of money, I can still make money on the originals because of the popularity that it's bringing it.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of the people don't take into effect. Yeah, this movie bombed at the box office, but look at how many sales of the original it helped create. For example, take the much maligned Ghostbusters 2016. Everybody hated that movie, universally. But the thing of it is it brought attention back to the original Ghostbusters. And even though Sony kind of had a loss with Ghostbusters 2016, the attention from it, sold the original movie and drove. Got kids into the new to the old movie and allowed us to do Afterlife and Firehouse. But the thing of it is that studios are seeing that now. Yeah, we might not get that initial return, but if it's on a franchise, it's going to bring attention back to those older movies. People are going to want them. We're going to make bank.
Or look at the aspect of Kung Fury. Granted, it was I think it was like a Kickstarter and Indiegogo that didn't really meet its full potential, but it became a cult hit once it hit like Netflix, and it made supposedly there's a sequel being made, but that's been around for
Velocipaster. Turbo
Velocipaster. Velocipaster is another great example. It's very self-aware. But
we've got 2 of those. We got 2 wolf cops now.
Yeah, 2 wolf cops. I want to see them. You know, it just.
You haven't seen Wolf Cop?
No, it was in my queue for the longest time. One of these days, I gotta relaunch Netflix so I could watch it. But
we'll have to figure out an evening and have an outdoor movie. I was tempted to buy a projector over the weekend, and we'll have to do a Wolf Cop marathon and watch them back to back. I think that would be shits and giggles for the fall. Bonfire and Wolf Cop outside, al fresco, with whiskey and donuts.
And one of those things, it's like, you know what? If we have the time, effort, and to do it, we do it outside. You could, with to all the bots watching, this word is made in jest. Sasha, you are more than welcome to, you and Al are more than welcome to kidnap me to your area so we could sit down. I will be more than happy to at least bring something with me so we could do our own commentary over it. And meaning just, if we want, watch it everything twice. Once so we can get an idea of the movie. Second time around, trash it, do commentary of it, and I'll post up and as, hey, commentary for Wolf Cop Part 1, 1 and 2. So
if we did, I'll to me and Al's mutual friend Robert, because I know he's been wanting to do outdoor movies, and it'll give me an excuse to buy Wolf Cop on Blu-ray, a projector, and a screen. But though he might be able to provide even better sound setup, things of that nature for us. We'll kick it around. We'll get back to it.
And the thing is, yeah, we'll kick it around. It's like, if anything, I got the newer laptop. I have the mics, the cords, and the soundboard to bring with me to have a better intake of 3 people than bring the simple non-potato camera and do it that way. So
yeah, and we could even throw it out there for people who want to either help us out on OnlyFans or help us out with Patreon, and help with the GoFundMe that you have going on. Come and enjoy whiskey and donuts and bad movies with us. Live hosting. I like it.
Remember, folks, the more you donate and the more you subscribe and tip, depending on where you tip, because I know on OnlyFans you are allowed to tip the person.
Yeah.
So
now remember,
the more you tip, the funds do go to the show. Depending on who you if you tip me, yeah, I'll split costs with Sasha and everything else. They go to the respective shows to help with cost, gas, and having a good time, and make sure that when we have a good time, you have a good time with us. So, not to mention, it also goes to products. I know I've been putting up a lot of clips and shows on our YouTube, and that money will go to like the mystery boxes and all that, so I can have something to unpack for you guys in regards to that. So
anyways, as McBain says, that's the show. So take care, keep it real. And
I'm a gamer, and I'm wearing a bikini.
Pay that $1,000, he will. Might even be able to do it by Harrisburg. Ooh. All right.
And that's the thing, folks. we're going to be in Harrisburg that month. If you do it, swing by Harrisburg, buy the tickets to come into the show because it supports 4-State Comic-Con and therefore an indie show to boot. Yes, it's an added cost for all you, but the tickets are maybe $10, $15, very, very low. So you get to support a local comic book show or comic pop culture show, and you get to see some weird entertainment.
Weekend passes to it for less than $100.
Right. And that's for 3 people. That's for 3 people.
Yep. All day, all weekend.
Everything. That's weekend. Yep. That's weekend. And that's for a lot of folks like Otacon and Baltimore. I'm not knocking Baltimore any way, shape, or form.
For one person, one day.
You got folks at home for VIP passes. It's $200 easy for a lot of events. So, and $100 for 3 people for weekend passes is cheap, especially nowadays. So come on down, see a lot of independent artists and creators, and sell us and support local.
Yep. And find us on all your socials, your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Instagrams, your Snapchats. I'm, of course, Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. He, of course, is Christopher Lumzer, a.k.a. Reverend Godfather of the Longcoat Mafia podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, obey. Well, if I flub, we'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post.